Our stories.
Men of Reddit who had an uncomfortable encounter with a creepy woman. What is your story? I had a girl just assume the role of my girlfriend without asking me, telling me how she felt, or even really speaking to me all that often. She just had feelings for me that she fulfilled in her own head by telling others we were together. When she met my real girlfriend, she acted as if my real girlfriend was some skank side piece. I had no idea what was going on until that day, and apparently loads of people in my village thought we were together. Not just because Creepy McGee told them that was the case, but because she gave them a terrifying amount of totally fake details about our relationship together.
Our stories.
A former co-worker sexually harassed me. She spoke in innuendos, made sexually charged remarks towards me constantly, tried to hug me whenever she could, and she hit me when I told her the ring I was looking at online wasn't for her, but for my girlfriend whom I intended to marry. It was very troubling for me as I had just started there and didn't want to make a fuss. I needed the job. I never gave her any hints that I was into her, and when she bluntly asked me on a date I said no and brought it up with HR because she seemed unstable. I was worried that if I would confront her about it, she would make up a story and get me fired. It's easier to believe a woman in this situation. When I talked to HR I was taken seriously, but at the same time reassured that she would leave the company soon, which she did. So there's that.
Our stories.
Met a super weird girl online. Went to her house and while hanging out she kept telling me to molest her. When we did the deed she kept thrusting back at me and seemingly on purpose make the bed bang against a wall. When she came she made super loud moaning noises like you would hear in a porno. In the morning, her stepdad and mom introduced themselves and asked us to pull the bed away from the wall next time.
Our stories.
In college I was sat on the green during lunch break when a middle-aged woman walked up to me and asked for a hug. Before I could react she hugged me tight and kissed me on the forehead. I quickly got the hell out of there and scrubbed my forehead with disinfectant hard. She then proceeded to stalk me for a few weeks, and even though I reported her to the college nothing ever came of it. Eventually I dropped out for unrelated reasons, but a friend of mine who still attended told me a few months later a crazy woman was arrested for stalking and harassing students who fit my description.
Our stories.
At work, a few years back a woman on the team came up from behind me while I was on an important call with a client and groped my chest. I slapped her hand away, clearly gesturing that I did absolutely not like that whatsoever. She walked away only to sneak up on me and do it again. Once I was off the call with the client. Me. The fuck is wrong with you, Nicole? Don't touch any part of me. I hate being touched. Her. Oh, settle down, it's not like I'm a guy. Also, I expected less fat on your pecs. I hope your CCK doesn't suffer the same fate. That crossed a line for me. This felt like a combination of sexual assault and bullying. So I told my manager about it, and she asked if there was any way I can just forget the whole situation because it didn't really sound all that serious. I pressed on because I know 100% that if the genders were swapped instant termination. So she did get pulled off of work for a week. With pay.
Our stories.
Used to work in a call center, one day sat down next to a middle-aged woman I didn't know, couple hours and I caught her taking a photo of me. When I questioned her she said she'd sent the photo to her friends in their mummy group and they'd all placed bets on whether or not she'd be able to shag me or not.
Our stories.
A few months ago I was traveling on a bus and it was nighttime and pretty long journey. There was a girl sitting next to me, roughly 35, I am 20, so since we are sitting next to each other, I talked to her a few times, but like casual, question and answer type talk. Then at one point I closed my eyes and I think I fell asleep for like 5 minutes. When I woke up, I felt her hand on my thigh, and so close to my pee I was staring through the window, I didn't know how to respond or what to do. Then I pressed the power button of the phone to show her I'm awake, and she slowly removed the hand from there. It was super awkward and how dare she.
Our stories.
Some random woman grabbed my junk in the pub as I was sitting down in my football kit after I'd been playing football a few months back. I kind of just laughed and pushed her hand away, but in hindsight it's amazing how different it would be if the roles were reversed. Didn't even really think about that aspect at the time.
Our stories.
I went from inactive reserves to active after 9/11s. I was hanging out at the base bar the night before I flew out the next morning. There wasn't anyone there so I just shot the shit with the bartender. Some chick comes in and just starts chatting me up. She started going on about how she likes being rough and shit, and I'm like, look, I just want to get some sleep, I have a long day. She started getting aggressive and then straight up punches me in the face. The bartender kicked her out, apparently the girl is known for doing that shit.
Our stories.